and you type in reptilian, you will get a lot of hits and you will not have fun sorting through them. So I recommend 4 sources. These are the go-to. 1, the Branton files. Hello? Yeah, I'm giving a lecture right now. Thank you. Do that, please. Next, the Watcher files. Next, the Burlington News. And finally, David A. And the Branton files, the Watcher files, and Burlington News are all websites. David Icke is a bro. He used to play rugby. My theory is that he got concussed so many times he started believing things. And he writes a lot about the reptilian bloodline conspiracy. So if you're interested in that vein of argument, check out David Icke. The Branton files, I think, are the best for being able to answer, like, aliens coming here, aliens will attack. The Branton files have a lot of really good arguments about how actually we're building up armaments, or Branton actually claims, Branton's this crazy dude who lives in Arizona, he claims that he has a hyper laser in Arizona that he is ready to deploy when the aliens come. So that's a good answer if people say the aliens will be violent. All right, next, most famous, Ashtar. Yay, Ashtar. Consult Ashtar. I want to talk about Ashtar. James and Joe did it. I want to do it. I can't say that very much because I did it and it was a lot of fun, and I did it because James and Joe did it probably. So,
Friend and I want to try that on this.
I mean, you can win. Are you all familiar with the LulzSec group of hackers?
Yeah.
And how they finally came out and they're like, okay, we're going too far. We made hackers look bad, and we're done. Same thing's happening in debate, right? These arguments evolved for a particular reason that we'll get into later. So don't take them too far. It is fun to joke, but you got to know. My hope is by the end of this lecture, you'll know when to run them and when not to run them. But these arguments rely on understanding that people have been channeled or collected, simply given by Ashtar Command. Ashtar Command, to my understanding, is a semi-religious group that believes in a celestial being named Ashtar, who will lead humans to enlightenment. Ashtar is superseded in some of the mythos by Lord Michael, host of hosts. If that name sounds biblical, it is. Michael the Archangel is likely where that comes from. The 2 types of famous arguments are 1, to consult Ashtar. I think this is a pretty good argument, but hint, hint, if you want to answer it, email the bros who run any of these sites and ask them what Ashtar would think of their plan. Almost guaranteed you're going to get an email back that says yes. Ashtar will say yes to whatever plan it is. Almost guaranteed. And then you post that baby on the blog and read it. Boom. You got to say yes, Ashtar. Game. The second argument, I think the better argument, is that Ashtar will stop nuclear war, so you should vote neg on presumption. And there are further cards that say Ashtar will come and pick all the humans up when a nuke war happens, beam us up to a ship, and take us out into the galaxy to enlighten us. And that's why you should allow the nuke war to happen. Another neg on presumption. I think that's a pretty sweet argument, and a lot of fun to debate about. Because if you cut the right cards, people will be like, well, how can you pick us up so fast? And there's a card that literally says he could empty the Earth in 13 seconds. So you'd be like, oh, guess what? 13 seconds. So, you know, we'll take the couple lives lost because we're going to be sentient beings or ascended beings after this on whatever level of being that we just become little. Have you all seen the Futurama where that Star Trek nerd is like a cloud of dust? That's what we're supposed to become after Ashtar hooks us up with all that sweet knowledge. Another thing, debate where you shouldn't just go to the Googlebot and type in business. You should check out these 3 sites first, and then go to Google and find more. The first is ashtarcommandcrew.net. These bros are militant and crazy. They write good cards. The second is ashtarontheroad.com. They made this sweet picture, so you know they're good. And the third is ashtarcommand.org. And that is the depository for future Ashtar cards. Now, you may say, but I have this back file on Ashtar, so I'm done, right? The answer to Ashtar that's most commonly read is the mechanical brain card, that Ashtar is a mechanical brain. you'll need to go to one of these websites and cut cards that say Lord Michael, the host of hosts, the Lord of everything, has actually ordained Ashtar as his lieutenant. That answers back that argument, so you'll win the debate. Although, if you already have those cards, then you're 2 steps ahead of me, and you can ignore me. But those are on Ashtar command. Any questions on Ashtar? This is always the favorite, right? Because it's just so cray-cray. So,
my friend ran Ashtar was a giant alien in the center of the earth.
A giant alien. I don't doubt that it exists.
And he was Jesus' cousin.
Oh, sure. Same type of deal, right? Ashtar wants us to ascend and become better, and somehow Ashtar will, through his mercy, allow that as long as we do what Ashtar says via the consult, or, like I said, my favorite, and I think the easier win is the presumption arc that Ashtar's got his, magic bus and he's about to pick us up in case anything bad's happening. So why do the app? Because we're going to get picked up. Yeah?
You have to say, like, how do we consult Ashtar if we don't know where he is?
The answer, good, sorry. The answer to that is that you channel Ashtar. Right? Or that's one of the ways to answer. You say that we will channel Ashtar. Oh, this reminds me of, I was going to move on before I did all the trick. The trick on this is that you say religious tolerance is bad at the end, right? So you say that you channel Ashtar, and cross-text will be like, that's crazy, and that's dumb, you're stupid. How could you ever think that? And you're like, oh, well. I think I just got a link. So you look over to your partner, and you're like, hey, those religious tolerance bad, or religious tolerance good cards, pull those. Stand up in your next speech. Religious intolerance causes genocide. Impact. Boom. This has become a real argument. They're intolerant of your religion, which is Ashtaric, and they're threatening you by calling you stupid. Now, obviously the answer to this, if you're debating this, is there's a difference between being intolerant and calling somebody dumb. Your shit's not verifiable is not the same as I'm intolerant of you and I will kill you. Right? So that's the distinction you have to make. And most judges will be like, oh yeah, that makes sense. You're not being intolerant, they're just idiots. And you'll win the debate. But we'll get to that when we get to the how to answer the cray-crays. My favorite for this year of fake arguments is the flat earth. This argument is directly related to this topic. It simply says the earth is actually flat. Everything we think we know, we don't know. It's run by crazy geologists / some sort of Christian thing. It's weird. They're funky people. But they say that space doesn't actually exist. This is a graphic of it. There's a dome that was put over the earth by God. That dome is impenetrable. So what happens if you really actually launch a rocket up far enough is you'll just hit the dome and bounce down. It ain't happening if you're going to space. Everything that you know about space is fake. There's a bunch of good cards on the site that say the moon landing was fake, satellites are fake. It's all images doctored by the government to do what? Get your tax money, because they're greedy. Noticing a theme about people who write conspiracy literature? They hate taxes and they hate the government. Fascinating. So, also there are cards that say attempting to break the ceiling is impossible and would be bad. God doesn't like his things broken, apparently. On this site, there are also cards that you will want to cut that says that people who try to convince you otherwise are liars and proselytizers for the devil. So you will be calling the other team Satanists. You got to do it if you want to win the argument. Also, though, there's a lot of pseudoscience on the site that makes it sound real. So there's a lot of cards that you can cut that'll be like answering the argument. So there's this classic argument that's like, how do you know the earth is round? Watch a boat sail off into the horizon. Have you ever heard this? And it'll disappear because the earth is round. They have arguments about why that's not true, why physics is not true, why the physics that's being done is actually rigged by the gov, and it's all that. The compendatory, the clearinghouse for all this information is the flatsociety.org. That is literally the only website you will need to cut this position. I think this position is actually, surprisingly, a pretty good arg. I think it's a standalone arg. One of the rare, crazy arguments that you can just read on its own and win. Now, how do you answer this? What's up?
How common is it going to be?
That's a good question.
That would be crazy.
If I were coaching, a high school team, I would have my teams throw this in any round where they had a good judge for it, and I thought the other team would flip out and overreact. Because it's an easy time suck, and they might mess it up. Right? The function of these is to get people to freak out and act stupid and make dumb answers. And so what you have to do when you experience these is keep cool, stay cool under pressure, and be like, let's think logically about the things that just fell out of the speaker's mouth. Right? So most of the fun is tricking them. So I think it might be kind of common. Maybe. Yeah. Sorry, that's the most predictive I can be, is a maybe. But ways to answer this. Obviously, cut some cards that says the Earth is round, or that says, yes, in fact, the Earth is round. There are also some indicts for the Flat Earth Society and how crazy it is. Unfortunately, with most crazy things, legitimate scholars just don't really care about them, so they don't care to write about them. But we'll get into later how some general critiques of conspiracy that you can run that I think are round winners every time that most people won't be ready for. There are some really good books that came out in the late 90s or the late 2000s about how conspiracy theories are really dangerous and how we shouldn't allow them in public discourse. And I think that you will be able to win a lot of rounds of that. So you might need a couple cards that say the Earth is round. The Earth is in fact round. Show a picture of it to the judge. Be like, ha ha, look, fools. Oh, it's on the back of my iPhone. Ha ha ha. Something like that. You know, mock them. Mock them for being so dumb. Because they will certainly be mocking you and pretending that you're the idiot. When in fact it is definitely the other way. Okay, next, Mayan Calendar / Gregorian Calendar good. I don't know, but I think maybe, that's my qualifier in case you never hear this. As we approach 2012, you'll hear this argument more. It's linked directly to the 2012 argument we spoke about above. The argument is that the Gregorian calendar, i.e. April, May, June, July, and all of the specific days of the year are actually soul-crushing days. It's a terrible way to do a calendar. It's a calendar that actually sucks the life out of humanity. It makes us depressed. It doesn't keep us in tune with the stars and the astrological things that are going on. And then, in fact, we should switch to the Gregorian calendar. This is a picture of, the Mayan calendar. This is a picture of the Mayan calendar. It is impossible to read or understand. When I was reading this argument, I attempted to translate some of the dates into Mayan calendar dates. It's real hard. Just don't read the date on the card. It's a lot easier. Because the link that people are going to get is, you read the date on the card, you're constraining us to that, or you have some time frame arguments where you constrain us in some way. The link is pretty weak, I agree. But it's one of those arguments where you throw it out there, you see what they do with it, hope they waste a bunch of time on it. This is an argument you can make in 2 real short cards, maybe 20 seconds coming out of somebody that's pretty fast. Questions about this one? You look like you. Yeah.
Where do we get any cards for this?
There's a lot of literature on this. If you search Gregorian calendar suffering, probably you can pull up a decent amount of cards. If you search like switch to the Mayan calendar, there's a bunch of hippies that like found out they could make web pages at the public library, and they were like, oh, this fancy technology. And they just cray-crayed it up and made some GeoCities. So, did GeoCities get shut down? It's Tripod, I think they'll all be on that, you know, whatever, the craziest. Too bad GeoCities got shut down, you know. Great amount of really good stuff going on there. But yeah, Gregorian calendar suffering, Gregorian calendar, maybe even soul-crushing as a term might work, you know. The people that write about it are real hippie about it, and really use like touchy-feely words like, our souls are demolished by the calendar. When it's like, well, sorry dude, it's not 420, your favorite day. My day. So,
or using Video Friday by Rebecca.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Alright, the next and most famous of all, right, probably, besides Ashtar's time cube. Hooray!
Your brain's looking
This is not an argument that I ever recommend running. I say it only because people ask about it. This argument basically says that time exists in 4 dimensions, that time is in fact cubic. I cannot tell you what this means, nor why it's important. All I can tell you is that Gene Ray is a crazy proselytizer, racist old man who writes why it's important. He is extremely racist. If you go to his website, he hates Jews, he calls black people the blacks.
He hates women.
And he does hate women too. Yeah, he's not a nice dude. So one way to beat this is just go to the website and cut some of the other portions where he's being really racist and be like, hey, your author says that all Jewish people are the cause of the suffering on earth. Do you agree with that? And they'll be like, no, I don't agree with everything he said. And they'll be like, oh, but wait, here's